Hi, I'm Shane. Thanks for hanging out today. I have up for review the Roland SPD1 WAV pad. So I've been waiting for this pad not so patiently for several months since it's been announced. It looks very interesting, and it was just released last week. Big thanks to the kind people over at Sweetwater Sound in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They got this packaged up and out to me the day after it was released. And I got a chance to gig out with it with my band last weekend, and it is all kinds of fun. So basically, the SPD1 series are sample pads, and they just have one giant pad right in the middle. It's about 6 inches by 6 inches, the entire thing, and it just triggers sounds. So I've been waiting a long time for a simple module that I could take a few sounds out with my live band, and it's worked out very well for me. There are 4 different pads in this series. There's an Electro, which has the classic Roland 808 and 909 drum module sounds loaded into it. There's a kick module. It has a bunch of kick drums and cajon bass sounds and things that guitar players can use. They can put it right on the floor and to stomp on it with their foot. And there's a percussion module. It's got hand percussion and various toys. And this one I think is going to be the one that gets the most attention. It is the WAV module. With the WAV module, there are a few preloaded sounds, but to be honest, they're not all that usable. The big thing is that you're loading all of your own sounds into this, and there are 12 different user banks. The entire thing is about 6 inches by 6 inches, with the pad being about 6 by 4. It is big enough to hit. You're not going to miss it. It's actually sensitive enough that you can get a double stroke roll out of it, which is rare for a rubber pad. The cool thing about the WAV module is that you can load a song into it and a click track separately, and then you can send one sound to the mains, which would be just the song, and then to monitors or a headphone, you can send a mixture of the click track and the song. So if you're playing live to a click track, you can have the click in your ears or just in your monitor without sending that to the mains. It's very handy. And for that reason, this one, the WAV pad, is $50 more than those other 3. You can also mix sounds. I'm not going to go through that today. It's a little more complicated, but you can load 2 or 3 different waves into one folder and then have a mixture of them depending on the velocity or how hard you hit the pad. So that is really cool. A couple different ways you can use this. Live, what I did with my band is I have what's known as a hotspot monitor. And I use this to hear my and all the singers' vocals on stage. But there's 2 inputs here. So I took the headphone out of the SPD1 into my second input on my hotspot, and I could control how much of that I heard without affecting the vocal monitor that I normally use. So that worked very well. The mains, of course, went to the main, for the band. If you're going to record, I think that the way to go is to take the mains into your recorder and then take the headphone out and actually, wear a headphone so you're not hearing the sound through a speaker that could be picked up by your overhead. So that's probably the way to record with it. And then the way to play live, obviously, is what I went over before. One thing that I did notice that was kind of strange, I normalized all the sounds that I loaded into it, so they were all at the same volume, but live, some of them cut and some of them just did not come out at all. So I'm going to have to go back through probably and adjust the ones that didn't cut and make those quite a bit louder than the ones that cut. That way the overall volume, I can just set it and forget it. Also, all the sounds that I'm using on my SPD1 today, I'm going to upload to my website. That is redeyepercussion.com. There'll be a link down in the description to where you can find those sounds. And I'm going to continue to do that for all the sounds I use on the SPD1. So the first sound that I loaded into the SPD1 is the MVP of the entire thing, and that is a hand clap. I searched high and wide for a clap that I thought would work, and I found a ton of different things, and I settled on actually the Roland 808 hand clap. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit, and you can see how it works in a groove. A little Jack and Diane going on. Sound number 2 is the straight cowbell. I don't have to explain how you can use a cowbell. It's all over the place in Latin, rock, bunch of different genres. So here's some grooves with that. And that sound is actually my cowbell that I sampled. It's the Pearl El Negro series number 4. I've had it for a really long time. Sounds great. And I wanted to be familiar with what it was going to sound like, so I just sampled my own cowbell. Sound number 3 is also one of my drums. It is my low timbali. You can actually get a double stroke roll with this thing. This is one that didn't really cut live, so I'm going to have to, readjust some volumes. But for now, I can do that, later on in the recording. You can play some reggae with this. I'll do a little bit of that. Forgive me, that's not my strongest suit, but it definitely works. You can use it in some rock fills with your left hand. Sound number 4 is a shot on a smaller timbali, so same kind of thing. Reggae, you can play it in some rock. Here's that one. Number 5 is an open conga sound. I also sampled that from my own drums. It is the middle drum, so it's got some depth to it. You can use it in like some train beats, or anytime you just need an and a 4 at the end of a phrase, something like this. You can try it in some straight Latin grooves. For number 6, I went with the classic Gong. This is actually the easiest sound to find. If you go on YouTube and search for Gong, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of like meditation videos and just really weird stuff. But I found a Gong that I liked. It's not huge. Sounds like kind of like a rock gong. You can use this at the beginning or ends of tunes, sparingly though. I mean, it's kind of loud and abrasive. But it's really pleasant. The one thing I did do was, fade it a lot quicker than it would decay by itself, because, that's just not a sound you want hanging around for a long time. So you could use it at the beginning of a tune or at the end of the tune for, the classic hit, something like this. There are also a couple of funk tunes that actually start with a big gong hit. So that one's really nice. You don't want to overdo it, but it is very useful. Number 7 is actually really fun. This is one of those sounds that when I first saw this thing released, I knew I had to find or manufacture some way. And it is made famous by Cypress Hill. They use it in Insane in the Membrane, amongst a bunch of other tunes. And it is like a horse whinny, but it's sped up. So that's a sound that's not, super versatile, but I'm going to use it every night with my band because it's just way too much fun. Along with this next one, the scratch. Same thing. You can use this in, a hip hop kind of groove. Play it on like the and of 4, where you'd play like an open hi hat. Or you can play it right with the snare. A bunch of different stuff. So check some of this out. Number 9 is the street tambourine. This is also one I sampled. Is an LP Cyclops with brass jingles. And you can use this, wherever you'd use a tambourine. I can almost get a buzz roll. And the velocity, I'm not sure how many levels there for the velocity, but I mean, you definitely go way soft to way loud. And there's also, knobs to set the velocity and the threshold. Number 10 is just a sound I found in like a hip hop loop. It sounds like a clap and maybe like a little hiss and a little hint of a tambourine. Sounded kind of useful to me. I didn't actually use it live, but it could definitely work. Check it out. Number 11 is kind of a joke sound, but it is really fun. It's actually from the movie Trading Places, if you've ever seen that old Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd movie.
Yeah.
So I actually sampled that out of the movie, kind of built it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not really useful in a groove. I'm going to try to play some with it. I kind of use it as a joke live whenever my singer would say something, witty or funny. I kind of gave him that.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm Shane. Thanks for hanging out and listening to my thoughts on the Roland SPD1 WAV pad. I have few complaints with it. It's really fun. It works really well. Once I delve into the the whole loop thing, I could probably take this out to like an open mic night, by myself, with like 3 or 4 songs loaded on in my drum set. Someone wanted to use it like that. It's a small enough module that you can do that. It's running on 4 AA batteries. I'm not sure how long they're going to last. I played a 4-hour gig, and I left it on the entire time, and they're still fine. And I played around with it for an hour before that, and just about an hour here today. So they've been fine. So it looks like the battery life's pretty good. There is an adapter, but it doesn't come with it. It's one they use for their Boss guitar pedals. So that's readily available. I'm not sure how much. So that's not really a big problem. I'd actually rather run it off the batteries. This is a really petty complaint, I know, but I'm going to say it. It's bright red. So, I've got a couple black kits, but if you had, like a green kit, it might look awful on it if you're, worried about your appearance. So I kind of wish they were, white, black, gray. One of them is white. I'm not sure which one. But, this is bright red. It works with my setup, but, you might have a problem with that. So in conclusion, I definitely think the Roland SPD1 was worth every bit of $250. I see myself having a lot of fun with it. It's useful live. If I want to do some covers that have some specialized sounds, I can load those up, play them real time, which is really valuable rather than overdubbing something later. So there a variety of uses both in the studio and live on stage, and it was worth it. $250 is not that much, for me to pay for something like this. It's got a nice little, standard cowbell mount. So once again, I'm Shane. Thanks for hanging out with me. Make sure you check out the rest of the channel. I've got tons of lessons and cover songs and reviews of various different electronics and percussion stuff. Subscribe and take care.